Okay, folks, I'd like to welcome you to another post-game conversation where you get to hear directly from Tribe football alums. For this episode, we have Mr. Mikal Abdul-Saboor. How you doing, sir?
Doing well, Dante. How are you, man?
I'm doing well, man. I really enjoyed just catching up. Well, sort of quasi getting to meet you. I met you at the playoff game, and we've talked recently and caught up here. Got to learn a lot about you, man, and really excited about this interview. Glad I was able to pin you down. So let's get right into it. Uh, what was the position you played, your major, and what year did you graduate?
Yep. So I played running back, graduated 2015, and majored in interdisciplinary studies. Created my own major through that program in William Mary. Sports and society was the focus of that major.
Wow. Is that a relatively new major? Or was it new at the time? Or
So, to my knowledge, I was the first athlete I know that took that
wow.
route.
Wow.
Um, so I think there's been some people now who have followed, after me in creating their own major as well.
So I'm happy to say I'm on with a trailblazer. All right. Um, Mr. Trailblazer, tell us about, you talked a little bit of a cool story because you're from Georgia. Tell us about your journey to William and Mary.
For sure. Yeah, so I honestly didn't even know William and Mary was a college until Bob Solderich, rest in peace. Coach Solderich came down to Georgia, pulled me out of class one day and talked to me. And then, stayed. It was on a Friday, stayed and came to my game. Funny enough, he didn't even get to see me play because I was actually injured and I didn't play the first half, but I ended up coming in the second half of play. So Coach Slaughter never saw me play. And then Coach Corley actually became, my recruiter after Coach Solderich. And he came back down to Georgia, built a pretty good bond with him, especially because he was a quarterback, shorter stature, like myself, because I was a quarterback in high school. So, got to come up to William Mary and visit, do an official visit, and met some really good guys on that visit. Trey McBride, DeAndre Houston Carson, Braxton Hicks, Zach Fetters, to name a few, Andrew Jones. And quickly, man, I just felt the family feel at William and Mary. We actually all committed together after like the last, dinner or whatever we had on the official visit. Came together and were like, let's do this. Everybody had offers other places, but we all decided to commit to William and Mary, and it was a pretty cool thing. And now, looking back at it and still having bonds, with a lot of guys from the tribe, that was a cool moment, man.
That's amazing. I remember you told me that story. I was like, I don't know if I've ever heard that before. So that's really cool. And you guys, and we'll get to it later, but it ended up being what do you call it, winning bond. So that is really cool.
Definitely.
So So you made the choice to come to William and Mary. Tell us a little bit about your experience or anything you want to share.
Yeah. Eye-opening at first, right? Coming from Atlanta, culture shock, a lot slower in Williamsburg. Yeah, the college is, the focus of the town. There's not much else, not a whole lot else going on outside of college. But quickly grew to love it, man. And I think, a year that sticks out to me was my redshirt senior year. So my last season when we actually won the CAA. I come off, a breakout year my junior year, leading the CA and rushing, all these accolades and stuff, and carried that into the senior year. I think the first two games of the season, I rushed for over 100 yards again, and then had an injury. But senior year, I was a captain on the team. So I learned a lot that year, through that injury, kind of took a back seat. Kendall Anderson became, the main running back that season and had a breakout year. Awesome running back, Kendall, by the way. So I took a back seat a little bit senior year, individually, it wasn't exactly, how I pictured my senior year going. But as a team, we won the CAA. We went to the second round of the playoffs. So, I learned a lot about just I humbled myself a lot that year and learned a lot about leadership, how to really be a leader, how to be a leader through humility. And also just, the bonds I made, that season with a lot of the guys is, going to last a lifetime. So I think that year really stuck out to me. And, when it comes to, different obstacles in my life now, overcoming adversity, like that year proved to me that I could overcome, anything that, might come across my path. So yeah, that year stuck out, man.
Wow, that's amazing, man. That's inspirational, man. I had asked you, did you have anything inspirational? And you said no, which is great. That in of itself is inspirational because you sort of found your leadership voice. You grew. It sounds like as a leader, as a man. So I mean, that is in of itself is really inspirational and it's awesome. All right, so senior season, you guys had a lot of success. You graduated. Tell us a little bit about your journey from graduation day at William and Mary to where you are now.
For sure. So I did actually pursue playing in the NFL. Had some tryouts and stuff like that. Got didn't make a few teams. I think Falcons, Colts, Chiefs, I believe. And then I was gonna go play in the CFL. Kind of changed my mind where I was gonna be going. It was very cold, brutally cold. And I had already started in the MBA program actually at Women Mary, the online MBA program. So at that point, I just decided to hang up the cleats. It was a very tough, decision to make. As you know, right, when you hang it up, man, we put so much into it, growing up and in school. Football is your life, really. That's the majority of the time spent in college for me was with my teammates playing football. So to give that up was tough. But I was able to finish out my MBA at William and Mary through the online program, which was awesome. And then I ended up getting into the staffing world, IT staffing, actually. A couple guys that were on the team, keep those tribe connections close. You never know, where it'll take you. But Andrew Jones and Darnell Laws were working at a staffing firm. And I moved to Chicago and started working with those guys. None of us there anymore, and everyone's gone off to do different things. But I am still in staffing now. I ended up going and joining a large staffing firm, Tech Systems. Had again some William and Mary alum who were working there at the time, and then I've moved on since then, and I'm still working in the IT staffing world, but now back in Atlanta, and it's going well. I'm enjoying it. I think the biggest thing is I've always been someone who loves building relationships with people, and that's what we do in staffing. It's all about relationships. So it's kind of easy to be transactional, but those relationships that you build will give you a long-lasting career in staffing and ultimately a lot more success because in a people business, people like to work with, people like to buy with, people that they like. So I prided myself on just being genuine, being myself, and trying to grow lasting relationships with people in the staffing world. And it's also very rewarding, right? Because there's a lot of people out here struggling, looking for jobs, and for you to be able to help them find a job, for them to be able to put food on the table for their families, man, is pretty rewarding. So I think I've found, something that I was passionate about, which is just people, building relationships, and being able to, do that in the business world, in the corporate world.
That's amazing, man. Yeah, I'd say building those relationships is the key to any business, right? Or growing and being successful in business in general. So I think you hit the nail right on the head, man. Hey, listen, this was awesome. Like I told you it would be, like I thought it would be. Really appreciate you coming on, and also really appreciate you sort of plugging the relationships and the network aspect with Tribe football or just Tribe in general, right? I can see, and you talked about it's done a lot for you, And, you're another shining example of leveraging the network and being a part of the network and having that lead to success. So thank you.
Definitely, man. I think that is the biggest thing I took away from my time at William & Mary is just the relationships I built, with my teammates and some other students on campus, man. The lifelong relationships. I talk to somebody from William & Mary every week, and I consider these brothers, right? So
Wow.
I would just say, for maybe to leave, current players with is just that truly cherish those relationships you're going to build while you're at William & Mary, because those are going to be, some of your best friends, people in your wedding, as you move on from William & Mary. So cherish those relationships because you never know when you might need somebody or when they might need you. And it's like I said, it's lifelong relationships, man. So definitely
That's
appreciate
awesome.
William.
Yes, yeah. I appreciate it much more now, even more now than I did when I graduated, man. So, and once again, hey, really thank you for this opportunity. And I look forward to meeting you again. I know you're way in Georgia, so maybe we'll link up at one of the games. But thank you again.
Thank you, Dante. I appreciate it, man.
All right.